You are now entering the world of Musings of a Geek podcast network. Stay geeky, my friends.
It's so weird, man. It really is. They're calling him Peyton Kershaw.
I don't know, man. Fuck it. We'll go with Oregon's quarterback.
I already picked him.
Damn it! That was Mariota, wasn't it?
Our next top five should be like top five athletes that you wouldn't want to face as a zombie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Left Field Sports Lounge. I'm Chris Lewis, along with Perry Lewis and Eric Tolbert. And, boy, man, we got some stuff to talk about this week. What a week it was last weekend for the state of Mississippi as a whole. We had the Bulldogs pull off an impressive home win versus Texas A&M. Dak Prescott leapfrogs into the front of Heisman contention, accounting for 5 touchdowns during the game, 3 passing, 2 rushing. Ole Miss hangs on against Alabama to win and cap a huge week for the state. Both teams, stunningly, are now tied for third in the AP rankings, and I know it's Mississippi State's highest ranking ever. I'm not quite sure about Ole Miss, but I had a blast watching these games this past weekend, and I know a lot of other people that did also. So Eric, what was your take on these games?
Sheer, utter joy and amazement. I mean, I know Perry differs in this, but I mean, I'm definitely one of those state fans that pulls for Ole Miss when they aren't playing against state. And I mean, what better day to pull for both of them than Saturday? I mean, my God. By the time it was all said and done, I'd shed a few tears. I was so drunk I could barely speak. So it was a pretty damn solid day all around.
Sounds like a normal Saturday for you.
Except for the shedding tears and shit.
Yeah, it's been really crazy. I heard about the Sports Illustrated cover. I don't know if you guys heard about that or not, but on one side you got Dak Prescott and Mississippi State, and then on the other side you got, I believe it's Bo Wallace and Ole Miss. So I heard on the radio this morning people talking, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to take the cover and I'm going to cut out Ole Miss, cut out that side, and then I'll hang it up on the wall. And then other people were like, man, it's for the state. And the host was like, which one is more important? Is it the rivalry, or is it all the attention that the state's getting?
It's the rivalry. It's always more important.
Bullshit. We're not Alabama Auburn yet. We get the state thing going, the whole Mississippi, state of Mississippi going, and then we can have that kind of rivalry yet. Then all of a sudden it can be, cutting each other in the middle of the fucking football field and shit like that. But for now, to me, I want recruits. I don't care where they go. There's only 25 scholarships a year. Get 50 high-quality players in the state of Mississippi. We'll split them half down the fucking middle. Fine with me. We'll dominate everybody. Sounds great.
Yeah. If you ask the majority of college football fans at the beginning of the season, 5 weeks in, how are the rankings going to be? Where is State and Ole Miss going to be? Most people would say probably Ole Miss top 20 maybe, State right below them. They wouldn't really think it would be – I know of no one thinking they would be tied for third. That's kind of ironic, isn't it? The two big rivalries in the state tied for one spot, which is just crazy.
Who would have thought going into the year that the Egg Bowl might have national championship expectations on it? I mean,
it should be called the Chicken Bowl. I think we've grown up a little bit, and we're now full grown something worth, maybe marinating a little bit, maybe talking about.
I don't know about that.
It was a terrible analogy, but it's fine. It'll work.
Now, I wish it was this weekend. I really do. I think that would be so awesome. I don't know if people can handle it in this state.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, after both teams won, I think it's pretty fair to say that the state hadn't seen anything like that before. And, it is great for the state and all, but like I said, I mean, you pretty much turn on the TV and you hardly ever hear any talk about Mississippi State. Just Mississippi State. It's Ole Miss upsetting Alabama, and then great for the state with Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That win actually took away some headway from Mississippi State. It really did, at least for media attention.
Yeah, for 1 week. We beat Auburn, though, with game day being on us.
We have to win another game. We have to win another big game for it to be solely on us, regardless of what Ole Miss does.
And that, to me, right there, is maybe your problem with the whole deal, dude. I want a team that's going to go undefeated. I want one that's going to win the national championship. I don't want a few decent victories because A&M was overrated as fuck. They were.
All right. Stop. Nobody, including you or anybody on this show, ever thought State was going to go for a national championship to start the year. So don't give me that.
No.
Well, when we talk about national championship,
look,
that's the problem right there. You're not looking at the big picture.
No, you aren't looking at the big picture, though, because what team in their right mind is not at the beginning of the year sitting there going, I want my team to go undefeated and win the national championship? Is that my expectation?
Expectations are two different things.
No, but what your problem with right now is not that I'm talking about national championship. Your problem is 1 week, Ole Miss, taken away from us. I don't give a fuck. In the national ranking, we're tied at third, and we've got 2 first-place votes to their 0. And next week, when we whip Auburn's ass,
we're still tied.
Next week, when we whip Auburn's ass, then we won't be tied anymore. Like, it's fine. We almost took away from Ole Miss at their game day. Their historic game day that they never had before, the state of Mississippi never had before, and we were the talk of the fucking town before their game even started. Because we dominated. That's why we
should have rooted against Ole Miss so we could be the sole one and only up on top in the top 5.
I believe in rising up. I do not believe in pushing someone down to make myself feel taller. There's a difference.
It's rivals. That's what you do. You throw them down. You spit in their face. You stomp their head. You do anything and everything you can.
Yeah, but you want a true rivalry.
What's the point of a rivalry?
No, a true rivalry is when both competitors are right there at the echelon of greatness, and one beats the other. We're talking about, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. We're not talking about Mike Tyson and whoever he whipped their ass. I mean, nobody gives a shit about that. We're talking about 2 great teams that in the end are going to beat each other. I don't want Ole Miss to be fucking something in 3 by the time they play us in the Egg Bowl. No, I want them to be undefeated and we just fucking dominate their ass. And then we're like the most badass team on earth.
Then it means more. Yeah. I definitely understand that. But, yeah, one of my Facebook friends who has lived in Starkville his entire life, much longer than any of us have, he posted after Ole Miss beat Alabama, he said, I'm glad that team up north finally pushed back the Crimson Tide. Now I can go back to hating them. So he put that aside just for that one game.
Fair enough. I mean, around here for sure, I think Alabama hate is just as strong as Ole Miss hate. Because it's Alabama. They hate greatness.
They hate anybody drinking their Kool-Aid.
Fuck Alabama anyway.
Drinking their Kool-Aid.
Yeah, they want all the attention on them. They've been number 1 for so long. Anybody comes in that challenges them, it's
they get beat down.
Yeah,
that's what Alabama's done. Right. And I can understand that all right, we hate Alabama. Oh, wow, Ole Miss is playing them. Hell, wouldn't it be great to see an upset? Because, I mean, if it was any other team outside of Alabama, I don't agree with rooting for Ole Miss, but I will give it a pass simply because, like I said, the Alabama hatred is about as strong as the Ole Miss hatred up here.
Here's the thing, too, though. Next week, guess who Ole Miss gets to play? The Aggies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Aggies
so if they do not dominate the fuck out of them like we did, then there you go right there. We beat Auburn, which we've had their number for years. But we beat Auburn, and Ole Miss even beats Texas A&M, but it's a close game and it's a struggle. I mean, that's your answer right there. Then all the talk of the state will be us for the rest of the year till we play Alabama.
It is at Texas A&M, and that is a tough environment to play in. But
they're going to be pissed.
Let's talk about that matchup. Let's talk about that matchup real quick. You have Texas A&M, and still is considered the top passing offense in the SEC against Ole Miss and their really good defense. Who do you
Best
think
defense
has
in the
edge
country,
that
actually,
matchup?
probably.
I think someone is going to fire up the troops. I don't see any reason that Texas A&M can't win it at home. I really don't. I mean, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out firing.
12th man's going to be strong.
Yeah, Bo Wallace is going to be Bo Wallace and give them the game on a silver platter.
I don't even know if it comes down to that. I think Ole Miss's offense is good at its best level and mediocre on certain drives. And their defense, I think their defense is, if it's not the best in the country, it's in the top 3 to 5. I honestly do. From top to bottom, they're phenomenal.
I agree.
I mean, and that's why that Alabama game was there for the taking in the fourth quarter. But what A&M can do offensively versus what Ole Miss can do offensively is way too similar to me. Where State beat the shit out of A&M was the fact that they had ball control. Yeah. On top of everything else, I mean, Mississippi State's got big play potential, but they kept the ball from A&M. And they forced a lot of 3-and-outs and everything like that. So combine those two factors, you got a problem. But Ole Miss loves the hurry up too. And that hurry up, I saw a huge weakness in that, and that if you hurry up and get through 3 plays and punt it, your defense is fucking tired. They're hating it. So the hurry up, yeah, it can get the other defense tired on their heels, but you can do the same thing for your own defense if you don't keep the ball more than a minute and a half.
Yeah. Let's look at Mississippi State's matchup with Auburn in Starkville. I'm looking at that game more. That one's a tougher one to call for me, mostly because you have Auburn's run-heavy offense. They have to run the ball against State's run defense, which I think is better than Ole Miss's.
It is.
What trumps Ole Miss's defense over State is their pass protection, their secondary. But if State's defense helps stop that run and makes that quarterback use his arm, they put pressure on him, I think State will be able to eke out a victory here.
But the scary thing about, you say use his arm, Nick Marshall has improved just as much, if not more, than Dak Prescott when it comes to passing the ball. I mean, these two teams are just as similar on offense as Ole Miss and A&M. And that's the truth. I mean, 2 run-heavy, run-first offenses with quarterbacks who love to use their legs the year before. They were 80% run first, maybe one option, and then go, and all of a sudden they've both gotten better as passers at quarterback, and their offense is still strong. And the only separation is Auburn's defense better, is Mississippi State's better. And I think Mississippi State's is better up front to stop that. That front 7 is stout enough, and that's where the edge goes. But it's going to be a close, tight game. I mean, it's not – this ain't going to be a walk away by any means.
No, it's not.
I mean, X's and O's aside, Auburn's vulnerable against the pass, just like State is, but I think Auburn has a slight edge there.
Edge in a good way or a bad way?
No, I think Auburn has a better secondary than we do.
I can agree with that. I think we got a better front seven. They got a better,
Yeah.
from that nose guard all the way back to the safety kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have the better front seven out of the two, which, with them being run first teams, gives us a slight edge. It is. I mean, it could go either way. It's such a tough one to call. It is going to be a very, very close game. But I think with College game day being first time ever in Starkville, that team is going to be so riled up, at least for the first half. I think we're going to be up by double digits at halftime, and hopefully we can hold on to the victory. I'm saying hopefully because that second half is where it's going to, of course, second half tells the tale in pretty much every football game. But, I mean, it depends on the halftime adjustments, how Auburn's going to come back. But, like I said, I'm marking my words, double-digit halftime lead, and it's going to be a sprint to the finish.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be one you watch from the first minute to the last. There's no doubt about that.
I hope our cousin gets to play, Perry. Cousin Javion.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on, cuz.
Well, Dylan Day's coming
Wrap
back.
it up, bud.
And I got to say, I mean, the guard swinging over to play center, phenomenal job by State. I'm glad they didn't put that backup center in that threw the ball over Dak's head against LSU.
Thank goodness, yeah.
But Dylan Day coming back. Dylan Day is the leader of that offensive line. And Lewis is just another weapon. But we all know Prescott, Josh Robinson, that duo keeps it rolling. And, I mean, it's run, play action. You can pass the ball to whoever's open. So it really is. It's going to come down to, and this is a corny cliche statement, it'll come down to the big plays. And I know you hear that all the time, but with both passing attacks being a bit questionable and the defenses being strong up front, it really will be one or two big plays and how the other teams respond.
Yep, I agree. So let's, this is going to be a fantastic Saturday to watch, I think. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Before kickoff.
All right, so moving on to the postseason for Major League Baseball. So right now we're looking at the Angels and Tigers were swept, so my prediction is completely out the window now. Let's see, in the National League, San Francisco got past Pittsburgh and is in now the series that has garnered a lot of attention because of one managerial decision involving Jordan Zimmerman. So, Perry, why don't you fill us in on what happened there?
Well, you got Jordan Zimmerman pitching. It's a 1-0 ball game. 2 outs in the 9th inning. One more out's all you need for the victory. You have arguably your best pitcher on the mound. At least recently, Zimmerman did just throw a no-hitter to end the season. He's only thrown 100 pitches. He walks the guy instead of 2 outs, and then Matt Williams decided to pull him from the game.
Okay.
Sounds like a moronic call to me.
Now, I read on this a little bit, and what I gathered from it is that, the walk was a 5-pitch walk. So he got on base. And then the next guy that was up to bat, he got pulled when he hit a monster ball that just barely went foul. It just curved foul. So the manager had told him if he gets a base runner, their plan the whole time was to pull him and put the reliever in, or put the closer in. That's why the closer was up warming up. So The manager went by the plan, and after that guy got a hold of that ball and barely missed a home run, that's when he got pulled. So
fair enough. I mean, it's not like he just walked anybody. I mean, he walked Hunter Pence, which outside of Buster Posey is probably the best player on the Giants. They had Pablo Sandoval up. Now Zimmerman, I mean, you pretty much look at it with any other team. If you have Clayton Kershaw on the mound, do you pull him after 100 pitches and 8 2/3?
Nope.
Based on what he's done the last 2 games, you definitely do.
Oh, stop. We're talking about just a person in general at 100 pitches. Would you pull your best player at that time, clutch moment in the game?
No.
The answer is no. Zimmerman, there was only like 2 or 3 base hits. And that was like his second or third walk, I believe. I mean, it's not like he was in trouble. He might have fell behind Hunter Pence and was like, you know what, screw it, I'm not giving him anything to hit. Pablo swings at anything, and he does. And also the closer situation, it ain't exactly the best in Washington. I mean, you had Soriano, who was the closer, and now Drew Storen, who they had replace him, and he hasn't exactly been lights out. So, I think in hindsight, Matt Williams also agrees, too, that it was the wrong move because of what happened. But, at that time, I was just shaking my head. Like, what? I don't understand it. I really don't. It was a terrible decision. You go with your stud. You ride your horse. That's all you do.
Well, I would really like to know how he felt about getting yanked, as they put it, out. I mean, and knowing any competitor, Zimmerman was pissed off, as well he should be. But, and I know I'm going a ways back here, but it's not like the Nationals have the best track record when it comes to how they deal with pitchers. If y'all recall, last time they were in the playoffs, they decided that, we're going to shut Steven Strasburg down for the season no matter what happens. There was a lot of debate over that when it happened. A lot of people said, why not just start him late in the season? You got a pitch count, innings count rather, then let him pitch later in the season so he can possibly pitch in the playoffs. They were making a playoff run, and they pulled him anyway. And I think they've been regretting that decision since this year. This is the first time they made the playoffs since that happened. So,
probably so, but that's more of a health perspective than it is going with matchups or whatever the hell Matt Williams was wanting to do at that time. But I mean, that's not a moment in the game where you just pull a guy. That they shut him down for health reasons.
No, I mean, I know it's a different thing. I'm just saying, as decision makers, the Washington Nationals don't deal with their pitchers very well.
Fair enough. But I mean, again, with the Strasburg thing, though, either you'd have to shut him down through the playoff push in hopes to use him for the playoffs, or you use him to get to the playoffs and shut him down. And then I would have done the same thing. You can't. There's no point in trying to get to the playoffs and shutting down your best pitcher in hopes to get there. I mean, the first things first. You got to get there first, and then anything happens.
I hear you. And I'm digressing here. I know I brought it up, but I mean, I'll, pull away from it and just say that, they're still in it right this second, so no one will remember the Zimmerman talk unless Washington loses, and that'll be the reason they lost. They won out.
Was the manager wrong for sticking to the game plan that had been in place before?
How long had it been in place before, though? It had been in place before about an inning or two.
Yeah, it was in place for the top of the inning. And I mean, it was 1-0 ball game, so if I went into the inning like trying to get a game plan together, I'd probably look at it the same way. It's like, hey, look, if a runner gets on, I'm going to the closer.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a guy that's got 3 singles the whole game, and 3 singles and not well hit balls. And okay, one guy turns around on one. It's baseball, but it didn't go over the fence. Hell, he managed to not let one go out of the park for 100 pitches. He sounds like he's on his game to me. Just say
what I would do after the walk. I'd make my visit to the mound, ask my catcher, hey, does he still have it? Make sure my pitcher's still good, and I'm like, all right, win us the game.
Yeah, go
give you one more batter.
Yeah.
You know, and if Pablo gets on base, he still hits that double. So be it. It'll be the worst case scenario. I mean, pretty much the same thing that just happened, and then you put your closer in and move on to extra innings. But speaking of that game, here's an interesting thing for you. It's the longest game time-wise in postseason history. It's tied for the longest innings in the division series at 18.
Right.
The other 18-inning game was against the Braves and Astros, and I recall this very, very well.
Yep.
Do you know what's in common with those two games besides the innings?
There was a pitcher that pitched 8 2/3 and then got pulled.
No.
I'm just
There was a pitcher.
Like...
there was a pitcher that's in common. His name is Tim Hudson.
Oh, nice.
He started for the Braves and was on the wrong end of the 18-inning affair. And then he started for the Giants, and they ended up winning the 18-inning affair.
Nice.
Just key piece of sports trivia there for you.
Yeah, let's think about baseball trivia nerds. You know, good luck anybody really getting along with y'all because all y'all's trivia is like weirdly just displaced and shit.
Hey, if I ever get that $1 million question, you know, I got the answer.
All right, let's look at the other series that a lot of headlines are talking about, the St. Louis and L.A. series where the Cardinals are leading 2-1. So my question,
Cardinals won.
Yeah, the Cardinals won it.
So they won it. So what's happening to what happened to the Aces in this series?
Well, the lone ace for the Dodgers, Greinke looked like a champ. But Clayton Kershaw, it's so weird, man. It really is. They're calling him Peyton Kershaw. He's the Peyton Manning of baseball. He really is. He looks so untouchable, so dominant. But I mean, this isn't out of the ordinary for him to struggle in the postseason. He's now tied for the most postseason losses in Dodgers history with 5 now.
Yeah. I
mean, think about that. This is one of the most dominant pitchers in our era right now that really struggles in the postseason. But they said some stat, like he doesn't give up homers to left-handed batters at all. And he gave up, I think it was like 2 bombs all season long to left-handed batters, and he gave up 2 in the postseason to left-handed batters. Out of like 1,500 breaking balls, he only gave up 1 homer, like in the regular season. Mm-hmm. And then he gave up 2 in the postseason off breaking ball. It's one of those weird things, man. You just can't put any certain thing on it, and that's the problem. But in his defense, 6 2/3, 3 earned runs. That wins you most games in baseball.
Yeah, it does. And it says that he was 67-0 in his career when his teammates put up 4 or more runs. And his 8 runs that he allowed on Friday tied the most ever by a Dodger in a postseason game. And over his 45 postseason innings in his career, Kershaw's ERA is 5.2 and his record is 1-4, probably 1-5 now. So
yeah,
it's
the Peyton Manning of baseball, man.
Peyton
Kershaw.
Can I make this little bit of argument for him in his start? Just small little argument. 90% of major league pitchers pitch to the 6th and the 7th inning. Then they have a setup guy and a closer finishing. Now, granted, he gave up 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. His team turned around and it was a bad deal. All right, or I'm saying that backwards. I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. Adam Wainwright gave up 2 and 2 and 2, and then he had.
Yeah, I mean,
there was the awful 7th inning, is what I'm getting around to. Like, he was dominant to a point. He gave up 1 run. Wainwright, who was not as good of a pitcher, but is a beast of a pitcher. He's a top 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball. Gave up 2-2. You know, they were up 6-1, and then he gave up one more run in the 6th. No big deal. You know, they're up 6-2. And then all of a sudden we have this insane 7th inning where the Cardinals just went on a tear. And we always talk about momentum in football and things like that, but baseball, people that love it will talk about the fact that it's not over until the last out. You know, rally caps, man. You know, you do all that because it can be a 2-0 ball game. And then all of a sudden you look at the final line and it's 8-2. And it's like, what happened? And you look, oh, it happened in the 9th inning. And that's what happened with this game. Like, it just fell apart for him in that inning, and they should have pulled him before it got that fucking far out of hand.
Well, you pretty much touched on it. The Cardinals have an extremely deep bullpen. The Dodgers do not. They have one stud in their bullpen, and that's the closer. So starters, you pretty much going to have to give them 8 innings to be comfortable handing the ball over in the 9th, or handing the ball over to the bullpen. And Kershaw, I mean, he's a champion. And on this last game, I mean, he was pitching on 3 days rest. He looked great for 6 innings, and in the 7th, it was a bloop single, and then it was another single that hit off of Ramirez's hand, or hit off of his glove, just barely went over there, and then it was a 3-run, just barely over the fence homer by Matt Adams. I mean, it was one of those freak things, and everybody, you know, including myself, pointing the finger at Kershaw. But, you know, in reality, shit, man, what more can the guy do?
Exactly.
And inevitably, he ended up getting the loss, but, you know, I wouldn't put the loss directly on him.
Now, in my baseball experience, I know that some players, especially like the stars, they typically have one team that they always dominate, and then they have one team that always seems to beat them. No matter how good that team is, it just happens, something to do with that team always gets the better of them. Could St. Louis be Kershaw's team that gets him?
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's still a little bit too early to tell. Again, time will tell with that one. It's going to be something built up over his career. And I mean, forget to think this is what is like 4th, 5th year in the bigs now. So, I mean, but I mean, the same holds true in the NFL. You know, Tom Brady and the Dolphins.
Right, exactly.
Just, you know, sometimes it's just that team. They just have your number, and that's the case. It really is. There's nothing to explain it, but. Do the Cardinals have Kershaw's number? I don't know. It's that as much as the Cardinals are the baseball San Antonio Spurs. They just get it done. They win. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and their bullpen, you know, tends to be 3 guys that could be a starting pitcher on any other team. So, you know, whatever.
Well, I mean, San Antonio bench, they could be starters on a whole lot of teams. I mean, the comparison is pretty damn real. So.
All right, so in the American League, we're looking at Baltimore versus Kansas City. And St. Louis is in, and we're waiting on San Francisco and Washington. So, do you have a favorite in the American League?
I mean, I said it on the last show. My favorite's Baltimore.
Baltimore, that's right.
I'm sticking to them. I really think they're the favorite. They have just enough pitching. They have one of the best top-to-bottom lineups that you can find. And they're deep. They have a great manager. They have all their role players. But, you know, in baseball, you can see it in basketball every once in a while, but given the first round's now 7 games. But anyway, in baseball, you have that team that just has that something about them. It has that spark. It has that just something different. And there is a vibe. There is something crazy going on in Kansas City. If they pull it off, I would not be surprised. And again, on the last show, I was talking about them. They were hard for me to pinpoint at that time, and nothing that they've done has really shocked me. It's really fun to watch. They're a young team, very athletic.
They're fiery.
They really are, and like I said, they play small ball so well, and it's fun to watch, man. It really is. And like I said, I wouldn't be upset if Kansas City won, and hell, whoever wins Baltimore, Kansas City, I'm rooting for in the finals. That's all there is to it. It's going to be a really fun series, though.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that one because a lot of people had Kansas City picked like midway through the season, and I don't see anything related to Kansas City here really, not unless they're playing the Braves or something. I see it on TBS, but from what little bit I have seen of them, they do look like a fun team. In Baltimore, they're the traditional power team, so should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun, very high scoring. It's going to be a good series to watch.
Well, the only thing I can say about it is, did anybody call it the David and Goliath series or anything like that between KC and the Angels?
I don't know.
Not really.
I did watch the last 2 games of that series, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was... I was rooting for the Angels, of course, because they were my pick. But
of course.
But yeah, Kansas, man, they played some really good baseball. Just solid all the way around.
They have one of the best defensive outfields in all of baseball.
Their center fielder is just insane.
Yeah, Lorenzo Cain is a beast. Alex Gordon is tremendous defender. He's kind of their do-it-all guy anyway. But, they have Dyson coming off the bench to pinch run, who can still use second and third in a heartbeat. This team, there's a spark, there's a fire going on there right now, and it's fun to ride that wave while it lasts. Yeah. I think the worst thing for them was to having so much time off in between until the start of this ALCS. That's the thing that hurt them. If they started the ALCS up the very next day or the day after, Kansas City could have run away with it.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, this next week could be fun keeping an eye on this series and seeing what happens, and maybe we can talk about the real World Series picks after the next few days. I need another sip of beer. There we go. Tongue was too loose.
Too loose.
Too loose there, right now. All right, now that we're done with baseball, on to the NFL, and we'll take a quick look at the happenings in Week 5. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened this week. I guess the first thing I'll bring up is the 2 undefeateds went down. Saw that happen. Big surprise. I don't know, man. The Cincinnati one is the one that surprised me the most, I think. In the fashion of the loss that it was. I was expecting a close game, but not a 43-17 whooping.
Again, Eric had it pegged when we did the picks. It was like, it's New England. They're coming off a blowout loss. It ain't going to happen again. This is, it's something that, announcers and stuff like that was saying, it's shocking, but we've seen the same story over and over again. And I don't know why anybody should be shocked or amazed by it.
It feels like deja vu sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. Like, we've seen it so. Yeah, we've seen it so many times, and yet it still catches people off guard. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head, and I'm like, why the fuck did I pick Cincinnati? Like, I know Belichick and Brady better than this. Come on.
There's a reason they've been who they are that fucking long. You're like, oh, he's lost all his weapons. He never had any weapons, guys. Yeah. Like, let's be real here, all right? Rob Gronkowski would be a goddamn backup tight end probably on the Bears or something. Like, I'm making shit up. But, seriously, like, Belichick knows how to just make greatness out of thin air. Nothing. Like, why did I know who Rob Gronkowski was in college? A guy that big, uncoverable, like, I should have known him, his name. He should have won the fucking Heisman. You know?
The same thing with Welker. He was an undrafted player. They made him into a stud.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden teams are like, we'll pay this guy $20 million. Oh, really? All right. Later.
Yeah.
What?
We'll put in Julian Edelman, another very lowly drafted player, in his place. I mean, they do it all the time.
Chris, I'm not trying to steal your hosting thing, though. I've got to jump to another game, though. It's not that shocking, so it'd be quick, but, man, San Diego just fucking dominated the Jets. Like,
how is that shocking?
It's not that shocking. Jets. No, it's shocking how good San Diego's looking.
What was shocking to me about it was the one thing the Jets had going for them was their run defense. And Brandon Oliver looked like LT had come back into the league. 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Jets could not stop him.
It's because the game planning for Donald Brown, and then throw in Oliver, who's nobody knows about, and he runs rampant. It's kind of the same thing with who was that Bryce Brown last year.
Dude, Bryce Brown,
until you get some game tape on him. The only thing he does is bounces the runs outside and fucking goes.
But he's a beast at going. Runs a 4.25.
That's why he's like the 4th string running back at Buffalo right now. Yeah, he's such a beast.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Look, about that game, though, and I'm going to be the stat guy with the NFL. What was interesting was they had 19 carries for the other 2 running backs. And they averaged 2.9 and 1.9 a carry apiece. So, I mean, it was terrible running game, except for Oliver. Like, so either he got lucky, which he did have a 52-yard run, but I mean, the Jets, for the most part, shut them down. Donald Brown rushes 9 times, 26 yards. Drone, who's basically a fullback, rushes 10 times for 19 yards. I mean, so the Jets did their job. Oliver just got the highlight play. So, if we want to argue, it's still all about Phillip Rivers suddenly having a resurgence and being a beast again.
Well, yeah, Brandon Oliver only scored 2 touchdowns. The rest of those points came from the quarterback.
I mean, didn't Phillip Rivers kind of sort of do this last year? I mean, he added one of the comeback player award thing. I mean,
so he's like the comeback player.
Well, I don't know. You're saying the resurgence of Phillip Rivers. I don't think he went anywhere since he did the comeback player. I mean, it's Rivers. I wouldn't really call.
He's
you have to.
He's like he's high second tier, I guess, in fantasy football. I mean, like you can't give him the credit of a top tier, but
I guess you have to regurge before you can resurge, type of thing.
Yeah, you're right. You are.
Well, they have to get into the playoffs, and they have to make some noise, really.
Well, they've never done that.
Right. So that's their next step. And
I mean, the power rankings are putting them over Denver right now.
Bullshit. They had a bye week. My God. And it's just like people in fantasy talking about, Andrew Luck's the best quarterback in fantasy. How about the fact that Peyton Manning has had a bye week and he's still got almost as many fantasy points as any quarterback in the league? So, Andrew Luck, as great as you are, brother, it's going to be a minute before you take Manning's crown.
Well, they're saying that because pre-fantasy, they were talking about how he could very well end up in the top 3, maybe even number 1, and, well, that's looking to be true.
Yeah, season ain't over yet.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it ain't over yet. But
2 rushing touchdowns and an extra week, and he's only beaten Manning by 30 points? Nah.
What does the 2 rushing touchdowns have to do with anything?
I would say that would have to do with 12 points.
I mean, wouldn't that just be part of like the total touchdown thing? Because I mean, it's not like our league scores passing and rushing touchdowns differently.
No, they don't. What I'm saying is though Peyton Manning just throws for his touchdowns.
Right.
He don't need to be running up in that pile, not with that neck the way it is.
I'm saying
can't-
that
he
was
can't
at
take
5'2",
hits, man.
It'd take him 30 seconds to run 5 yards anyway.
He would have to run faster than his center to actually be able to score a touchdown. And Andrew Luck does run a 4.5, so I mean, whatever. You know, he's like white Michael Vick. I mean, it's fine. Except he's 6'4". He's actually white Cam Newton, is what he is.
White
with a
Cam
better
Newton,
arm.
yeah.
He is,
Speaking
but
of
he's
white-
he's
A white,
6'4",
smarter
2'4".
Cam Newton.
So speaking of Cam
Dude, that's so
Newton,
racist.
Cam Newton's actually looking like a NFL pocket passer now since he's been injured and can't really run the ball very well.
In Chicago, you can do that.
I mean, he looked really good in his win 31-24 over Chicago.
He's
He
looking
didn't
real
look
good.
all that great. Carolina was very opportunistic. I mean, there was three. Bears gave him the ball 3 times.
Yes,
In
it
the
was
second half or
turnovers.
something like that.
Turnovers
I mean,
lost it for the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears just simply gave that game away. There's nothing else to it.
Look, Cam
Brandon
Newton go with
Fuller,
19
they
for
made
30.
Brandon Fuller look like a rookie
Look,
too. By the way.
Cam Newton going 19 for 35 and only passing for 255 in this league is pathetic. I'm sorry. His QBR was 48.3. That's not exactly what I call epic numbers.
Well, no, but when you take away his running, and
You
he's
realize
able
how
to-
shitty a quarterback he is.
but
which is
he's
what I
better
was
than what
pointing
he
out.
was. All I'm saying is that he looks better as a passer now than what he did a couple of years ago.
I mean,
Okay.
I would hope so. This year, 4 for him?
Yeah,
Year 4 next to sophomore season? Yeah, he better be looking.
I mean, I was a better
This
Papa
is passive.
John's driver after a year than I was the first month I was working. So, I mean, like, I've got that going
I mean,
for me and shit.
It's
but
all about improvement, and yeah, that was some question marks if Cam, with him being banged up, if he can actually keep his feet in the pocket, just stay there
yeah.
and throw the ball. But the
I
other
mean, well,
question mark
honestly,
is
he
who
doesn't
the
have the
hell is he
dis-
going to throw it to?
Exactly.
Because you
So that was my other point. If you look at the highlights of that game, a lot of those misses and those stats that you're pouring out, Eric, a lot of those stats were from dropped passes. They were right there to the receiver, and they just dropped them.
I see no drops. I see no drops in ESPN box score. Y'all need to include drops to make me feel more intelligent. Apparently
Well, watching
drops is
Sports
not-
Center every once in a while may help too.
I was actually,
Oh.
I was trying to give a shot.
Instead of playing Mario RPG, how about actually do something fun and watch sports?
Super Mario RPG.
Oh, my bad.
You goddamn right it's your bad. I'm sorry, I don't need to listen
I'm
to
sorry, I
Scott
don't know
Van
what's in-
Pelt tell me yet again how good or bad the obvious things are. And I love Scott Van Pelt, but still. They put him
Nothing
on
else,
there.
just
And
see the highlights. Because, I mean, you watch, what, how many games of football on Sunday? 1? If you're lucky.
None. That's my day to catch up on TV. I watch Sons of Anarchy. If y'all
That's
want to do a show
always
about
there
that.
for you. You know what's not always
It's
there?
always there for me on
NFL.
Sunday.
NFL Week 5 of 2014. That's never going to be there again for you.
I don't care what you're saying right now.
Well,
That shit ain't going to be on Netflix next year.
so at my place here, I had the choice of 2 games to watch on Sunday at noon. The first one was the Saints and Buccaneers. The second one was the Texans and the Cowboys. And I actually decided to watch the Texans and the Cowboys.
Yeah, you don't want to watch the Saints lose again. So
And
Dude.
it looked like they were fixing to for
Yeah,
a while.
In all honesty, I think they should have, and they finally played like the superior team that they are compared to Tampa. I mean, Drew Brees tried to give that game away. He really did. And as for the Texans-Cowboys, that was a very entertaining game. Came down to the wire. And, you know, Des Bryant showed – and that's all it was, dude. It was a freaking jump ball, and it was a 3rd and 9. Romo was rushed. He just threw it up for grabs, and Des Bryant made one of the catches of the year, showed why he's a top 2 or 3 wide receiver. And, I mean, they're watching the game, and, like, I couldn't be mad. Like, at first I was, and I was like, but it's Des Bryant. He made an incredible catch. He made a play.
Yeah.
It's not like it was bad coverage. The coverage was absolutely perfect. He caught the ball around the defender's hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an epic play, and like I said, you couldn't be upset. And at that point, they were already in field goal range, and you know, overtime being what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't turn it to look back at the Saints game not once. Only on commercials, but yeah, that was a hard fought, really well played, well officiated game. I had no complaints about that game whatsoever.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. The only thing I was a little upset about is when the Texans got the ball in overtime and they were driving, basically off of Arian Foster, and they stopped. They were about, at the 40, not quite across midfield, and they decided to pass it 2 times in a row. And I mean,
and let's be real,
Arian Foster, he has no problem. He had no problem getting 5 to 10 yards of carry every single time he touched the ball. I mean, he was tearing them up, and they couldn't stop him. You know what? Keep on riding the horse. That's what you do. You run it until they stop it.
Can you please admit that Fitzpatrick's not the answer, though?
I never said he was the answer. I said
he's a good quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. I said
he is solid. He's capable of getting the job done. He's not the answer. He's not a franchise quarterback, and I said that before. He's not somebody you can build a team around. Can he do the job until the replacement comes in? Yes.
No. If you call 16 for 25, doing the job, throwing for 150 yards and a pick, no.
They're not a passing team. He's not going to put up 250
That's not passing.
Yards.
It's obvious they're not a passing team. I can see that from the statistics.
That's basically just about the same as far as percentage-wise as the Cam Newton stats he put up there.
Yeah, and I said he was a horrible quarterback. I was giving Chris hell about the fact that you're saying that's a good Cam Newton. Well, so that's a great comparison. I do appreciate you doing it for me.
Well, I mean, you are one of the sole people on this planet who calls Cam Newton a terrible, horrible quarterback.
No. Actually,
the reality of people around here actually think he's a decent enough quarterback, and he actually can do the job if you give him some people around him.
You've apparently not listened to me very long. I said that Carolina was a great team at the beginning of the year, and I love Cam Newton. I think he is a great quarterback. Him getting hurt, though, has made it to where he can't handle 80% of the offense.
He can't be a great quarterback, and then you call him terrible in the next sentence.
He is not a great quarterback unless he has his legs. Thank you, Chris. Chris actually listens to.
If you take his legs away and make him rely on his brain and his arm, he turns into a mediocre quarterback.
He can't do it.
Yeah, my point was that his mediocrity right now is much better than what it has been. He's learning how to be a pocket passer. He's learning how to make his progressions. That's what he's getting better at.
What's funny is, though, we're sitting here comparing someone who I think we could all agree is a smart, not a highly intelligent player in Cam Newton with a guy that fucking graduated from Harvard in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now.
You are out of your mind if you think he's worse than Geno Smith.
I was fixing. That was the one name I was going to throw out was Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is no longer the starter, kids.
Yeah, he hasn't been replaced yet.
Rex Ryan literally went on and said it was not my decision. Some shit's going on. Yeah, some shit's going on with the Jets right now, and something's fucked up. And Rex Ryan said it was not my decision to take Geno out of the game. Wow. So something's happening right there. when your head coach comes on there and talks about it, it wasn't his game time decision to make the decision. So something's real strange with the Jets. But can we not compare the Jets to being a real franchise anymore? Is that okay? I'm sorry.
No, it's not okay.
The Houston Texans have a great team with no quarterback.
That's pretty much what the Jets have. Outside of they have a couple holes in secondary and they have quarterback issues.
Their offense as a whole is atrocious.
They have a good running game. They have a good running game with Chris Ivory and Chris Johnson. They have a great offensive line. They have a great
Chris Johnson has been the biggest fucking bust. CJ 2K12. He sure as fuck CJ ain't 2K.
How is he a bust? They barely paid him any money to go there.
Yeah, because he sucks.
How is he a bust?
Because he sucks. Here's the key in the NFL. If you're good, you get paid good money.
Oh my God.
If you suck, people don't pay you money.
Tell me, how is he a bust?
Well, then how is he great?
You're out of basically a veteran contract just to bring in a second string running back. How is he a bust?
So he's a second string running back.
Like
Chris Ivory can't stay healthy. If Chris Ivory could stay healthy and hold on to the football, he might be a good running back. I love the way he runs the ball. Problem is he has no vision. Chris Ivory doesn't know how to see blocks. That's why you'll see great runs, but yet then he'll average 2 yards a carry when he gets the mother load. There's no one on the Jets offense that can take over a game right now. Quarterback all the way down to the bottom. That's why they are the bottom dwellers right now. Oh, I don't give a fuck how great their defense is. It doesn't matter. Not when a team can put 28 plus on you any given week.
But
because your offense can't hold the ball.
A terrible franchise like you call them? No, there's a lot of building blocks there that they can put around. But there is.
I'm saying that the Texans could be a great team, but they're settling for mediocrity when they bring Ryan Fitzpatrick over.
Just right now they are. They drafted a great quarterback that's learning stuff right now, and once he's able to take the reins and learn a little bit, maybe not this season or next season.
If that's the move the Texans make, though, I don't like it. I'm pissed off about the Texans because I like the Texans. I want them to be great. I want them and the Bears to be in the fucking the Super Bowl every year. I would love it.
It'll probably be next year. That's what I'm thinking.
How?
We're not going to see Savage unless you're out of the playoff hunt like Jacksonville is. That's the only reason that we saw Bortles.
Then how the fuck do we see Andrew Luck in his first year? Like, if it's a good
because he's a guy to put a franchise around. Tom Savage, we're still not sure yet. That's why he was a 4th-round pick. They said we're basically going to redshirt him. He's going to be on the practice squad, and he's going to learn. Andrew Luck had 4 years in college. Tom Savage maybe had 1 altogether.
So you're giving an excuse to a team that had a top pick in the draft this year and did nothing with it.
Who do you want us to grab at number 1? You didn't believe in Blake Bortles? There was value to be had later on.
My belief doesn't matter. What I'm saying is there had to be a quarterback that is better than Ryan Fitzpatrick in the draft this year. Had to be.
There was, and his name is Tom Savage. He's just they're cuddling him. They're grinding him into what they want him to be.
I don't believe in taking 50.
Look. Basically, they phoned in this season. That's what they did. They said, "Clowney,
fuck that shit."
Said, "Clowney, get out there and get chemistry with JJ. Learn how to get it together. Fitzpatrick, carry us in. If we could get to the playoffs, that's great. But there's not a lot of expectations there. I honestly don't think that was the case. They are not expecting to go very far.
That is absurd. When you're paying 50 people millions of dollars to succeed on a football field, and you're going to take a back seat for one player, maybe, that's not even fucking playing? Hell no. If you're doing that, if you're doing that,
then one quarterback in the draft that would actually help them win right now.
Can't name it.
Okay, because he wasn't there. He wasn't there.
Okay. Johnny Manziel.
Shut up. The one that I wanted, that I actually thought that had a chance was Garoppolo. That was it.
So they're selling out this season as a franchise to get.
No, I don't agree with that. That's the reason that they brought Fitzpatrick in, because if they wanted to sell out for the year, they put Case Keenum in, trying to do something with him and for trade bait.
I don't like it.
There's no value in Fitzpatrick right now. They wouldn't have brought him in, and they gave him a starter contract.
I don't like
They
it.
had every expectations of, okay, we need to bring in a veteran guy who's going to stay healthy for us, who can a manager. We're going to rely on our defense. We're going to rely on our running game, and see what happens.
Okay. I don't like it.
And look, I mean, that game could have went down either way. They could easily be 4-1 right now, very easily.
It's Dallas, and they're 4-1. And Dallas to
4-1.
me is a train wreck.
Well, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're handing the ball off, and their defense is actually playing. Who would have thought their defense would actually be somewhat decent right now?
Well,
they have been.
we talked about this earlier with the college aspect. If they're not 3 and out, then the defense actually has a chance. Defense has always been good when they're ahead and DeMarco Murray's running the ball. Dallas has been a great team.
I don't know about being ahead.
It saddens me.
They haven't been ahead all that much. Okay.
Fair enough. It still saddens me. I want the Texans to be great, and I don't think they're doing what it takes to be great.
Well, you hardly ever see a quarterback being traded. It hardly ever happens. And through the draft, they didn't see anybody that could go in and win right now. Bortles wouldn't have been the answer. Manziel, definitely not the answer. Bridgewater, there was a bunch of question marks there. Still don't know. Garoppolo, doing his own thing. Derek Carr, still not going to be the answer.
Manziel would have sold a lot of jerseys.
So you get... We don't need fucking jersey sales. Who the fuck gives a shit? You pull up the top 10. You pull up the top 10.
Franchise, so you need money.
We sell out every fucking game. Why the hell do we need jersey sales?
Yeah, remember when we
You don't think J.J. Watt sells a hell of a lot of jerseys? The only reason his name isn't on the list is everybody fucking already has one.
Now remember when we did the top franchise money-making franchises?
Yeah, they were number 4, I believe.
I think they were number 3. Yeah. They're fine monetarily wise, but yeah, I mean, like you said, Eric, paying people $50 million to go out there and play and not expecting much, they're going to make that money back very, very easily. But you got, I think they're taking the steps that they need.
The Texans' fucking logo is taking the bull by the horns. It's a fucking bull, all right, and I want to see like. The NFL is quarterbacks. It is.
You gotta wait.
I don't like wait.
I believe you'll see him by the end of the season. I think you'll see Tom Savage come in by the end of the season.
You'll see him if we are 12-3, have a first round bye, and you rest all the starters. But at that point, again, why would you? You'd see him on the sidelines because, Ron Mallett would probably start. So, the only way that you would actually see him this year is if it completely goes in the tank from here on out.
You actually just picked the guy I was talking about, Ryan Mallett, man. That'd have been a great somebody to pull over.
Look, O'Brien obviously wanted him. We didn't give away hardly anything for him, so... Who knows?
I'd have given away half the fucking franchise to get it.
Shut up. Ryan Mallett is a fucking joke.
Okay.
He's a fucking joke. That's all there is to it.
Well, let's look at a couple other things. I want to say congratulations to Brian Hoyer. That's what I want to say. He led the Browns to an NFL history-making 26 unanswered point comeback to beat Tennessee. It was Tennessee, but hey, 26 unanswered points.
No, that's not the underlying thing. It was Tennessee with Charlie Whitehurst. When Jake Locker was there, Cleveland didn't have a fucking chance. Insert Charlie Whitehurst because Locker got hurt, and, well, we'll see what happened.
Well, it was still the biggest blown lead in Titans history. NFL history was made, so there's been a lot worse teams than that come out onto the field. Hey, he went out there. He did a good job. Come back 29-28.
Whitehurst actually did a better job than Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, I mean, you hate
Shut
on
up.
him,
Look,
but...
he threw 2 passes, and both of them, they were wide. Well, one of them was wide open, and the other one was a little swing pass that 80 quarterbacks in the NFL could make. There was nothing special in those.
Okay.
At all.
That's
The
fine.
only thing you're doing is looking at numbers. You ain't watching the fucking game.
Well, that's kind of what happens at the end of the year, though, when you look at, like, all the statistics. Because these are all professional players. So this is not college where we can sit there and say, these are all shitty, it's a shitty secondary. No, these were all pros in college. These were all world players in college. So even the worst cornerback that starts in the NFL is solid. So at the end of the year, when you look at stats as a whole, that's a pretty fucking beautiful.
Okay, you look at stats as a whole at the end of the year when Charlie Whitehurst is 10 for 40 with those 2 touchdowns. Okay.
That's fine,
Look,
but we all know the Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. And Joe Hayden is one of the best.
Extremely overrated.
Okay, if we're talking about passing, then Joe Hayden's the best corner in the league, top 3. We talked about this earlier.
He wasn't covering Wright, who was wide open, so that really wasn't Joe Hayden's fault. Again, if you just watch the game instead of relying on the box score, maybe we'd have something to talk about.
Look, if that's the argument you're going to make for the rest of the year, it's going to get old quick because you actually need to get a little impartial.
Well, if you start telling me that Charlie Whitehurst did better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, then you're out of your fucking mind. He threw 2 passes that went for touchdowns.
He didn't throw a pick.
He lost the fucking game.
Brian Hoyer did better than both of them. Brian Hoyer did better than both of them.
I agree.
That was all I was saying. That's all I was saying. Congrats, Brian.
You know what, Chris? You're exactly right.
Fuck the 2 losers. Fuck the 2 losers. Brian Hoyer,
thank you, Chris.
You're a winner. Congratulations. Good job, sir. All right. There was another sighting that we haven't seen in a while. Kyle Orton. And the Bills.
He's a beast.
No, they simply won that game because Detroit doesn't have a field goal kicker. That's
the NFL that can pay money to anybody on earth doesn't have a field goal kicker.
Yeah.
No,
they have a 33% field goal percentage. That's the worst in the league by far. Their field goal kickers have sucked. They've had 2 of them.
All right, Mr. Haterade, what do you got to say about this one? The Giants come back to beat Atlanta, and the Giants suddenly have a 3-game winning streak.
I got nothing to say about it.
He's talking to you, Barry. I mean, Mr. Haterade is you.
Mr. Haterade, exactly.
Look, I'm just putting it. I mean, I'm not. Ooh, the Knicks coming to Kyle Orton. Yay! Woohoo! No, it's because Detroit couldn't make field goals. That was it, and Dan Carpenter did. He nailed like a 52
a guy that's been passed around, and just no love shown to him whatsoever. He come into the game and he won it. He did a good job. Good job, Kyle Orton.
Nobody wanted him. He'd be on the Cowboys now. Instead, he decided to walk away.
He never would have played.
Well, he wouldn't have played in Buffalo if E.J. Manuel would actually have lived up to where they drafted E.J. Manuel at. I mean, the guy sucks. He won the job by default.
But he came in and he won the game.
He didn't win the game. That's what I'm saying.
Your answer is, Perry, whenever anybody does good, it's bullshit, it's bullshit, it's bullshit. But when Ryan Fitzpatrick sucks balls, it's because, we were doing a rebuilding thing and we're okay with that.
I never said rebuilding. That never came.
They could have had Kyle Orton, is what I'm saying.
Get your shit right. That never came.
I'm saying they could have had Kyle Orton.
But when you're putting it out there, Kyle Orton won the game. Kyle Orton did not win the game. Kyle Orton did not win the game.
He threw for 300 yards,
who does
30
that
completions.
Go to? The W goes to Buffalo.
Goes to Buffalo, not Kyle Orton.
Who was the quarterback for Buffalo? Kyle Orton.
Okay, who was the defensive back for Buffalo? Who was the wide receiver for Buffalo?
I'm just saying, whose face was on Sports Center when they showed that game? Whose stats were
Matt
on
Stafford crying because his field goal guy can't make a fucking field goal.
Matt Stafford.
You know what?
If he
would have made that, it was like 2 minutes to go. If they would have made that 40-yard field goal, it would have been up by 4. It would have forced them to score a touchdown, and they would not have scored a touchdown. So they kicked a field goal. Time one down. That's the difference between a field goal kicker and not, is the W.
Well, Perry,
So,
I'll tell you this.
Give Dan Carpenter that W.
I hope you never coach Little League or Little League football, because if one of your players comes in, Coach, I made a touchdown. No, you didn't do good, son. The defender fell down. You suck.
I didn't say he didn't do good.
He is Captain
That's all I
Negative. He is
said.
Captain Negative.
That's all I said.
No,
good job, Kyle.
No. If you would have said, what about the Buffalo Bills winning? Instead, you said, well, what about Kyle Orton? You were there to get some to win. No, Kyle Orton didn't.
Dude, he went 30 for 43 and passed for 300 yards and a touchdown.
Because they couldn't run the ball against a stout Detroit run defense.
Well, Stafford couldn't pass the ball, and he's supposedly one of the best quarterbacks in the league with one of the greatest wide receivers.
And I said Brian Hoyer did a good job, and you said no, he didn't. It was against the. You won't give anybody credit for doing.
I never said Brian Hoyer didn't do a good job. I actually agreed with you. I said yes, he did.
That's not how
get your shit straight before you start throwing stuff to me. I never said Brian Hoyer.
Then why was there such a big backlash when I said, "Hey, congrats to Brian Hoyer for going out and having an NFL record-making comeback"? You jumped down my throat.
He'd rather be Captain Negative.
No, I did not. I said it should go to the reason because of that was Jake Locker going down.
See, you always start the negative out.
That's not the negative. Brian Hoyer went out and won the game. Yes. Because of Charlie Whitehurst. If Jake Locker didn't get hurt, look,
can I tell you a little secret?
That comeback would never have happened if
you kids went out, you won the game, but it's because the other team was worse than you.
Can you look? Hold, Perry, stop.
I mean,
real quick.
It would be
you said
because
Jake Locker
being a sports show if we didn't mention Jake Locker going down.
Look, Perry. If you say the reason they won is because Jake Locker went out of the game, you're telling me, granted, he was 8 for 11, 80 yards with a touchdown. Yeah, that's a good start to the game. That's a good first quarter. So you're telling me he only threw 11 passes and he was the difference? Oh my God, Locker went out.
He dominated that game.
No, the Browns came back. The Browns came back from a huge deficit well after the fact that Locker was out of the game. Whitehurst helped him get that huge lead, and then Hoyer helped him come back.
Again, it was one wide open pass that I could have made, and the other one was off of a turnover where you had it very close to the goal line anyway, and it was off a little swing pass. There was nothing special off of Whitehurst where you're looking at the box score.
26 unanswered points. That's an accomplishment.
Sure, of course it is.
No matter if it was Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, whoever, 26 unanswered points. That is job well done. Whatever the fucking situation was. I mean, there'd have to be some turnovers. There'd have to be some really crazy things to happen for any NFL quarterback to get 26 unanswered points. But one guy that was like, this guy sucks worse than Johnny Manziel. We need to put Johnny Manziel in. He went out and he definitely showed that he belongs in that starting spot.
I always said Brian Hoyer belonged in that spot.
Yeah, he did, but the majority of people didn't. I was giving him props is what I was trying to do. All right, so now it's time to get to our weekly NFL picks. And Eric, you won last week, man. You did.
Don't say it so shockingly.
you winning anything is kind of a shocker.
I win everything. That's why all of this is a shock.
Let's see, you finished 4-1, and I came in second at 3-2, and Perry got 2-3. So the way it's standing now is Perry is slightly in first with a record of 15-10, and Eric, you're in second, 14-11, and I'm a game behind you at 13-12. So right now, all of us are above 500. So,
Woo!
yeah, that's a moral victory, I guess you'd call it. So let's start off with these picks this week. Thursday night game, Colts at Texans. Eric, who do you have there?
I got the Colts because they had the better quarterback.
Rubbing
By
that in a
far.
little bit. All right.
Well, I mean, they have the better quarterback than 90% of other teams out there. So,
Well, I mean,
they're going to go
I'll put it like this.
13-3.
I'll put it like this: the Texans are going to lose because they have the second worst quarterback in the National Football League. How about that?
All right, Perry, your pick.
Well, defense wins games, especially in prime time, where defense at home is going to shine. Texans. Very low-scoring game, too, by the way.
All
It'll
right.
be like a 13-7 victory.
Whew. Yeah, I'm going Colts. We said the Colts were going to win the division, and to win the division, they really have to get past the Texans. So that's where I'm going there. Next up is the Giants at the Eagles. Perry, what's your pick in this one?
I know Philly's struggling and Giants are playing well, but it's at Philly. I think it's going to be McCoy's coming out party for this year, so I'm going to Philly.
All right, I'm going Philly as well, mostly because the Giants are on a 3-game winning streak, and I don't think it's going to last much longer. And I agree with you. If any game would be Shady McCoy's come out party, it'd be this one. So that's why I'm going Philly. What about you, Eric?
I actually think the Eagles are on a constant downhill slide, mainly because Chip Kelly is a college coach, and, well, the better NFL coaches have figured him out, like Tom Coughlin. So I'm going Giants.
All right. Next up we got Bears at Falcons, and I'll go first in this one. This is a tough call for me. However, I got to look at the two offenses, and I got to give the edge to Atlanta on this one. And they're at home, and the two defenses, I mean, they leave me scratching my heads at times. It's like, what the hell is Atlanta doing? What the hell is Chicago doing? So, offensively, and the Falcons have not been beat at home yet this year, so I'm going Atlanta. Eric, your pick.
The Bears.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Let's be real.
Yeah. All right, Perry.
You want me to give real
sorry.
reasons for it, or we'll just go on the period. It's fine.
You'll just be making shit up anyway. Look, both of these teams have terrible, absolutely terrible defenses. So naturally, what you would go with is the team who doesn't make mistakes and turn the ball over. Jay Cutler does it just as much as any other quarterback in the NFL, especially in clutch moments. So I'm going with hot Atlanta at home.
Interesting. All right, Perry. Next up is the Cowboys at the Seahawks. How much of this do we really need to talk about?
Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going Seattle as well. What about you, Eric?
Dallas.
Wow.
He's got to catch up ground somehow.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see how much we get to laugh about it next week. Last game on our docket is the Patriots at the Bills. Both coming off of big wins this past week. I guess, Perry, your pick first.
I picked the last one first.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Eric, pick.
I'm actually going to go Bills on this one. I mean, you can't count out Belichick. I do love the Patriots to a point, just because. But I just got this feeling. So, I'm going to go Buffalo.
You calling it a trap game, huh?
You need that sexual healing.
Buffalo feeling, sexual healing, baby.
The Buffalo Bill. Never mind.
Buffalo Wild Bill, you know what I'm talking about?
That Wild Bill cock up your ass, and it ain't gonna feel good.
And there's our opening line for the week.
He only shot a man once before dying. Quickest draw is, it was easy, you know.
Yeah.
All right, I got New England over Buffalo.
Kyle Orton train stops on Sunday. New England.
All right, and those are our picks.
Never bet against Kyle Orton.
Never bet against Kyle Orton. We need to make a bumper sticker and sell that. Never bet against Kyle motherfucking Orton.
I'll bet against him every time.
Yes, sir. All right. So now we are on to Chris's quizzes for the week. All right. Now, I'm going to see how much you fellas have been paying attention. All right. So, the category for this week's Chris's quizzes is the 2014 season. This year, the college football quarterbacks that have the most total touchdowns. The most total touchdowns. All right. And we have the top 8 answers on the board. And I think this may warrant 8 rounds. Let's see how much you guys know about this. All right. So since Eric won last week, Perry, I'll give you first pick.
Woo! Kenny Hill.
Hold on. Sorry. All right, Kenny Hill.
I was about to say bullshit.
Yeah, no kidding. I was like,
top 8.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
Like, we're going to stop right now, Chris.
That was my bad. I was testing the volume on my phone. Kenny Hill. All right. Stat board, what you got to say? There we go. Kenny Hill is number 3 on the list. Of course, he plays for Texas A&M, and he has 21 total touchdowns.
This is only quarterbacks, right?
Only quarterbacks.
All right, word.
And if you don't know the name of the guy, you can give me the name of the school.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice. That is beautifully convenient, actually.
Yeah.
I'll save that one for later. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott just because I want to say his name and him be on the list because I know he is.
All right, stat board. Show me Dak Attack. Dak Attack is number 4 on the list with 19 total touchdowns.
Right behind old Cahill.
Right behind old Cahill, that's right. All right, that's 1 round down. Second round.
Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota. He is number 8. So he is the last one on our list with a total of 18.
I'm going to go with TCU's quarterback.
TCU's quarterback. On the list.
God damn it. He must have been number 9. I hate myself already.
Cal's quarterback.
Cal's quarterback. That's number 2 on the list, Jared Goff. For Cal with a total of 22 touchdowns.
I'll go with Jameis Winston.
You've been missing a game, too. Huh?
God damn, I'm going to lose.
All right, round 4.
Well, Ohio State's still scoring, but I'm not sure the quarterback's name. Ohio State.
Ohio State. Ohio State is number 6 with J.T. Barrett. 19 total touchdowns. All right, E.
I'm apparently terrible at trivia. So, yeah. Oh, mother of Christ. I don't know, man. Fuck it. We'll go with Oregon's quarterback.
I already picked him.
Damn it! That was Mariota, wasn't it?
You can pick him again, though, if you like. Maybe he'll show up twice.
Oh, shit.
So number 1 is still there, and we have number 5 and number 7.
Oh, God bless. I mean, this... Hawaii.
Is that your guess?
No, it's not. I mean, it really isn't, but it is. Fuck it. I don't know how to play this game.
Well, when all right, Perry, go ahead. When it comes back to your turn, E, I'll tell you something that may make it a little better.
I do know of a kid who threw either like 6 or 7 touchdown passes for the mad scientist Mike Leach, I think, for
OSU. Okay.
Washington State.
See, I know the coach's name. Now, Mike Leach is Oklahoma State.
No.
What you want to say, man?
Washington State.
Washington State.
Yeah,
Man.
that's Mike Leach, maybe. Anyway, the guy who used to coach Texas Tech for years and years and years.
Yeah. All right.
What's his name?
Washington. Oh, shit, I don't know. I don't know fucking coaches, but all right, Washington State. Let's see what we got. Stat board. He's number 1 on the list. Connor Halliday with 26 total touchdowns. So that's it, man. Eric, you can make another.
I know he threw it like 70 times against Stanford. So I know that was the game that I actually watched.
So
I'll say Nick Marshall's probably on the list.
No.
You hadn't said your boy Bo Wallace.
That's not my fucking boy.
That is your boy.
Kid.
Well, I will tell you this,
Fucking
Eric.
old
When you
piss
said
man.
when you said Hawaii, there is one guy on the list that does sound Hawaiian.
Mariota.
No.
I Mariota again.
I guess
Is
since
it-
we're
is-
done.
It starts with an S, Saralapa
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
You can't say yeah. yeah. That's it.
yeah. Cepho Lufo from Colorado with 19.
I had no idea.
Starts with an S. It sounds like Lufo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
it,
him.
Saralapa. That's close enough.
But it's over. I mean, anyway. So Perry's up 7-1 now.
Woohoo!
And the last name on the list was Shane Carden from East Carolina with 18.
You know the only name on that list that matters?
Dak Prescott.
Mariota.
You're goddamn right about that.
Appreciate it.
Dak Prescott doesn't matter?
Perry's not even really a
he's
state fan.
ignoring
He
me.
just happens to live in Starkville.
That's the name of the week, Mariota. Yeah, sure.
Who is that dude, by the way?
Who?
The guy that's been sitting in the background the whole time.
Oh, that's Bert, man. I'm sorry. He's living right now.
Oh, okay.
He's a buddy of mine.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day.
The last 2 times we talked, he's just been kind of walking around. I'm like, oh, who's this dude? Maybe he's just hanging out for the day.
Hold on.
It's some PJs. Yeah.
I'm going to put the headphones on.
Bert and Eric.
What's up?
What's up, man?
Not much. Got Eric beer.
Yeah, we were just kind of questioning, who's this dude we've been seeing sitting in the chair in the background most of the time during the show.
Bert and Eric.
Bert and Eric.
Yeah, at least it ain't Artie. Fuck it.
Eric, you're
No,
Ernie
still
for the
we
rest of the show.
Awesome. All right, Ernie, you ready to do the top 5? Oh, you didn't hear me.
I'm
All right,
sorry, Chris. I've got to put my headset on to hear things.
Okay.
Jesus.
All right. Ernie, are you ready to do the top 5?
Tall Bert, not Ernie. Oh, yes. I'm ready. I'm ready for the top 5, Wallace. Wallace.
Don't get late. He got locked out again.
The top 5 of this week.
Oh, there he is. All right, you're back.
It's the top 5 college football players of all time. And we're not talking about soccer kids.
What?
What the fuck?
Anyway, I'm sorry y'all don't understand Scottish English.
While
Wow.
the Bert and Ernie thing was going on, I looked up the head coach for Washington State, and it is Mike Leach, by the way.
I'm proud of you, Perry.
Just throwing
You're
it
right.
out there.
You're right twice in the same week, and Google is working strong for you. I saw your eyes working up there at a glance. I'll forever believe he's a cheater. He was never this good in real life.
That's
So-
such bullshit.
It's like, I just happen to be looking up at the side like, no. All right, anyway. Top 5 college football players of all time. Perry, since you know everything and all, you get to start this.
I didn't say I knew everything. I was just telling you I knew the Washington State head coach, and he's not the Oklahoma State head coach. Like
You did try to call him Mike
put it.
Leake.
I don't even think that's not the name of the Washington. Who are we talking about? Oklahoma State coach.
You said Mike Leach.
That's the head coach for Washington State. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't say yeah like you knew that.
Will you answer the fucking question?
What's
For
the
fuck's
question?
sake. Who's
What's the
your
question?
number 5?
Am I starting it off? Oh.
Yes.
My number 5 is Mr. Bo Jackson.
Number 5 on the list.
Yeah, he's number 5. 4,500 all-purpose yards, 45 total touchdowns. Very solid career, went like a 6.8 yards per attempt, something like that. Anyway, Bo Jackson, number 5. I know you're going to go more in depth later on. So
Yeah, the 6.8 was only because they would give him the ball on the sideline occasionally just to knock his average down. Chris, it's your number 5, man.
All right, my number 5, just looking at over the past decade, the biggest and most controversial name in the sport of football is Tim Tebow. So he's my number 5 on my short list. Heisman, 2 national titles, finished with 88 touchdown passes, 57 touchdown runs, only intercepted 15 times in 4 years. So that's why he made my list, but number 5.
Well, this is more of a personal list for me. And man, that is the point, right?
Right.
You're all Mississippi team?
It really isn't. No, actually, my number 5 on this list is Brian Urlacher. And the reason being is because when he played for New Mexico State, he was a free safety. And at 6'4", 250, running a 4.3, I really wish I could have seen him just level motherfuckers constantly. He was the leading tackler on that team, though. I don't have any more stats other than that, but yeah, that's my number 5. Why not? So, Perry?
It's crazy seeing what the smaller schools do with the freakish athletes. It's like the Collins guy for New England, who's made his name in the postseason last year. He is taller than Brian Urlacher, not quite as big, but Southern Miss had him at safety as well. I mean, what the fuck are you guys thinking, man? This guy's huge. Put him on the line. But whatever. Anyway,
best athlete on the field, man.
Yeah. Number 4, I had Mr. Barry Sanders. The reason I have him at number 4 and not higher is because basically he only had 1 year. That year was good enough to put him in the top 5 for sure. He's my number 4.
I mean, yeah. You know.
Don't need to say much more. That year was, God, one of the best years ever in college football for any player.
All right, Chris.
All right, number 4 for me, I put Roger Staubach, the greatest player in Naval Academy history. He won the Heisman in 1964, and the midshipman finished 9-1 and was number 2 in the country. And by the way, that was the last time that Navy was in the top 20 in 1964. He was drafted by the Cowboys, but he had a commitment to fulfill to the Navy, and he could have either requested a spot in the United States to serve his time there, but instead he chose to do 1-year tour of duty in Vietnam. So he went and served our country in Vietnam, come back, and had one hell of a career in the NFL. Roger Staubach, number 4.
Bo show. My number 4 is Bo Jackson, and just simply because, I mean, I still think he probably could have been the greatest NFL football player of all time, barring the hip injury, which was just insane. And anyone that's ever seen that play or read anything about it would realize that the only way his hip did what it did was because he was so fucking strong. It made it to where the guy that tackled him pushed his hip like feet back. I mean, just insanity. And he was the greatest probably athlete, period, of our time. But just as college goes, he was a fucking beast. So,
yep, for sure.
Bo Jackson's my number 4. Number 3, Perry?
Number 3, I have Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner. 5,900 all-purpose yards. He only had 27 touchdowns, but, I mean, talking about carrying the team on your shoulder, that's pretty much what he did. He did everything that he needed to do, and he was very consistent through his college career, which got him the 2 Heismans.
Yep.
Say what needs to be said, no more.
You know it's a good top 5 when there really isn't too much argument, though. I mean, like,
yeah,
all these players could easily, in their own time, like, it may have been a better top 5, but I said, you know, the best top 5 in the 90s or the 2000s or something. But be that as it may, Chris, what's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 was Bo Jackson. Bo didn't know it all yet. He was still learning. But in 1985, he rushed for 1,786 yards and averaged 6.4 yards a carry, as we said. At the time, that was a single-season SEC record. Auburn retired his number 34, and he was ranked number 8 in ESPN's top 25 players, college players of all time. And also, ESPN ranked him as the number 1 athlete of our generation, barely beating out Michael Jordan. So, That's it, man. Number 3.
Well,
You put Bo Jackson anywhere on the field, and he would have succeeded. There's very few players that you could say that of, but I mean, pretty much any spot outside of quarterback, and he would have made a living.
Yeah.
Dude, I honestly, give him the Wildcat. He'd have been fine at quarterback.
Fair enough, yeah.
True that, yeah.
I got to put Jim Thorpe on my list just because, I mean, he's like a national icon. I mean, he was great at everything. I mean, we talk about these athletes. I mean, the way it was with college football was simply you were good at that, but you were pretty much good at everything else. I mean, he ended up being an Olympian. He was fucking phenomenal, and he's got to be on my list. I didn't watch him play, obviously, but still, you know, that's my number 3. So, Perry.
My number 2 is really the only people out of this list that I actually watched the whole time. The best college player I've actually personally witnessed, and that's Mr. Tim Tebow. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. The 2-time national champion, Heisman winner, runner-up next year. He probably should have won. Like 9,300 yards passing, 88 touchdowns. Another almost 3,000 yards rushing with 55 more touchdowns. I mean, the guy, only thing he did was win. He was a motivator. He was a team player. You know, there's the plaque up at Florida, you know, from a speech that he had. I mean, the guy meant so much for Florida and was a big part of their 2 national championships.
Tebow?
You can say what you want about him as an NFL player, but he was one of the best college players ever. And very, very hard to stop.
Yep.
Yeah, Percy Harvin didn't hurt that. But regardless, Tebow is a great college quarterback. He really was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chris. What's your number 2, man?
Number 2, I put Barry Sanders at number 2. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to our friend, show's friend, Emily Tillman. She posted. I posted a question on Facebook and on Twitter and asked what people's number 1 would be, and she responded with Barry Sanders. It was her number 1. So I want to thank her for participating in our query. But Barry Sanders, his first 2 years at OK State, he's virtually an unknown as a backup to Thurman Thomas. And when he got his chance, he delivered, as Perry mentioned, as one of the best seasons in college football history. 2,628 yards, averaged 7.6 yards a carry, and cruised his way to the 1988 Heisman. He also had 42 touchdowns when you include his outstanding performance in the Holiday Bowl that season. And then he was drafted. But that one season that he had just outshined pretty much anybody else, with that 1 year's worth of work. I mean, it's hard to argue that, but he's my number 2.
Hell yeah, man. I'm actually going with Herschel Walker as my number 2. He was just a fucking beast. The moment he hit Georgia's campus as a true freshman, they only lost 3 games in 3 years, and he just dominated up and down the field, continuing on with a great NFL career. And, I mean, he was probably what NFL scouts looked for the next 15 years as far as size and speed and base, like their prototypical running back. You know, I mean, he was just a specimen and perfect in every regard when it came to that. And, I mean, he had a great name, Herschel Walker, the runner. I mean, like, seriously, it's good shit. So, Perry, number 2, man.
My number 1, actually.
My bad.
We're at that point. Is your number 2, Herschel Walker. mostly because what he did during his time. I really think if he would have been there for his senior year, that he would have gave Griffin the run for the money for the 2-time Heisman. But I mean, in 3 seasons, 5,500 total yards, 52 touchdowns. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Nothing else you can really say about the guy. One thing I do want to say about that, while I was looking up the stats and I was Googling Herschel Walker's name, it's really amazing what today's society will give you in the Google search. The first thing I put in was Herschel, and then it was Herschel Walking Dead. And then I actually had to get to Walker for it to finally pop up anything football related. Because I still kept on going walk, and it was just, oh my gosh. I mean, it was full of Walking Dead stuff just off of Herschel. It's just, I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out there.
He is a great character in The Walking Dead, though.
He was.
I loved him. He was.
He was. Oh, man, yeah. Great show. Our next top 5 should be like top 5 athletes that you wouldn't want to face as a zombie.
Yeah, I was actually thinking top 5 athletes that ended up becoming actors, but yeah, that could work too.
Just throwing it out there. Walking Dead season premiere is Sunday, I believe.
Dude, I thought it was like Wednesday or Thursday. My wife's lying to me now. The divorce is final.
No, it's definitely Sunday. I'm like 95% sure it's Sunday.
All right, fair enough. All right, Chris, you're number 1, not your number 2. I fucked that up already.
All right, my number 1 is same as Perry's, Herschel Walker. When he was a freshman at Georgia, they won a national championship. His sophomore season, he finished with 1,891 yards and 18 touchdowns, but he finished second in Heisman voting next to Marcus Allen. And then he got the Heisman the next season, his junior year, with lower numbers that he did his sophomore year. 1,752 yards, 16 touchdowns. So that tells me right there, just those 2 years, he very well could have won the Heisman. And then he got drafted, so he didn't do his senior year, as Perry said. But this guy, very well, if he'd have stayed his senior year, he was in the running for 3 Heismans. He would have been in the running for 3 Heismans. That's just insane. So, yeah, number 1, Herschel Walker.
Well, I'm sure y'all know why Herschel was number 2 for me and not of Walking Dead fame. It was because I read a book when I was a kid, man. Like, it was sitting on my dad's, in his very small, eclectic library. And I got to looking at this, and Red Grange. I remember reading about the Galloping Ghost. And if y'all don't remember him, I'm sorry. I mean, he's a very elusive creature. But I remember reading this story, and I pulled it up on Wikipedia. I'm sitting there looking at it now, but I'm actually going to put my head down and like remember how I read it, because I remember what I read was the first 5 times he touched the football that day against Michigan, he scored. They couldn't stop him. He returned the kickoff for a touchdown, and they gave him the ball every time that Illinois had the game against Michigan, who was the Michigan. The reason Michigan's still ranked in the top 25 every year, even though they suck. We're talking 60, 70 years ago. This is where Michigan came from. They were fucking dominant that year, and Illinois, lowly Illinois, who is still lowly Illinois, should not have touched them. And this man rushed for 5 touchdowns on them within the first 12 minutes of the game. Wow. And that was when he got dubbed the Galloping Ghost. And now we'll look at Wikipedia. He only played 20 games. But in those 20 games, he rushed for 3,300 yards, caught 14 passes for 250, and completed 40 of 82 passes for 575 yards. Wasn't even a quarterback.
Wow.
32 touchdowns, 16 were from more than 20 yards away. He didn't even go to school at Illinois to be a football guy. He went for basketball and track and just happened to get talked into playing football. And it's just something about, like, his legend, you know, I mean, and how cool of a name is the Galloping Ghost, really.
Hell yeah.
You know, I mean, that's pretty fucking badass. So that's my favorite. Probably wasn't the best, but again, I said it might be a personal list by the end, and that was my personal part of it. So back to you, Chris.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, a lot of the lists that I looked at had him as number one. You are not alone in that by any means, just from the sheer crazy-ass stats that he put up. But, yeah, it's definitely an accomplishment.
Well, I've got to repeat again. In 20 games, he ran for 3,300 yards. I mean, what the fuck? And he was a white boy, too. I got to say that much. It was in a different time. I agree, but still. Different conference, but still.
Tim Tebow's white. He could be your number one.
Tim Tebow wasn't on this list for a reason.
2 national championships, Heisman runner-up. Says differently.
That's fine. I think Aaron Hernandez, Percy Harvin, and the greatest defense maybe in SEC history tells me differently. Look at those players on that team of those years and see how many are in the NFL right now. Joe Hayden. Oh, I'm sorry. Who's Joe Hayden? I don't know who Joe Hayden is. He's not any good.
Well, he hadn't looked good this year. He's looked terrible, actually.
Well, there's definitely more debates to happen about things like this.
Tim Tebow. It's a Christian website. Go there for porn.
Oh, no, maybe that'll be the opening line for this week.
Hey, I believe he's won as many postseason games as Peyton Manning has in Denver, with half the opportunities.
Oh, wow.
Just want to put that out there, guy.
Well,
he's a winner.
Winner. All right, fine. I will trade you Tim Tebow right now for Andrew Luck, just so I can trade him to another team. Even though I am number one in fantasy football right now.
Which is so fucked up. Like, so fucked up. This is why wins, losses are shit. It's like wins, losses for pitchers. They don't fucking mean anything.
No, it's because you're a baseball fan and all y'all do is fucking whine.
Wow.
No.
Okay. Wow.
It's because you are the luckiest fucker in fantasy that there is.
I'm lucky. I won the last 2 years. It's all luck. It's no skill. Again, what we were talking about earlier, Chris, Perry is nothing but negative. Perry's nothing but negative.
But it's Peterson, Manning, and a bunch of scrubs.
Peterson, Manning. Peterson isn't even on my team anymore. My first round
because
pick.
He's not on a team anymore. Well, I guess he kind of is, but he's not playing right now. Of course he's not on your team.
Thank you. So my one of two keepers, I don't even get to use because he beat his child.
We're talking about year 3 where you're not going to win a championship. I'm talking about he carried you through the first 2. Him and Manning, I should say.
You see what happening? You see what's happening right here, Chris? He's negative. He's negative Nancy. That's what he is.
I just don't like you gloating about something that, well, your team sucks.
What do you mean exists? Like me winning and being the top ranked player in our fantasy football league?
Out of pure fucking luck.
Things that are actually in existence, Perry hates about.
Well, let's see. You've scored the 5th most points. Yeah, good job there, buddy. Good job.
Look, all I know that's by my name is the number 1. That's all I know. That's all I can read, honestly.
7th on points against. Yeah, you'll win some games that way.
Well, see, that's why it's early in the season. I got a couple of injured guys that are coming back, and, I faced all the hard stuff. As long as I stay close to 500, I think I got a shot with the resurgence that's going to happen.
Look, I think y'all both sucking hind tit is a key factor to me having victory. So y'all just keep doing what y'all are doing.
Yeah, you go ahead and ride that Darren McFadden wagon as long as you can.
I'll ride whatever wagon, wherever that wagon takes me.
It's early, goddammit. That's all I got to say. It ain't over yet.
It's
You're
run
simply,
EMC.
You're simply starting McKinnon out of pure stubbornness. Well,
You goddamn right I am.
And the fact that your bench players fucking suck.
I've had so many trades that I've declined over the last few weeks, and I'm still winning. So you know what? I got a big fuck you to everybody. Boom, boom.
And right now, you have every right to do so.
I mean, that's what enjoy while I can. That's what Perry's confused about. He calls it gloating. I call it enjoyment of where you're sitting, which is why I enjoy Ole Miss and State being both ranked number 3 in the country right now. I think it's amazing, awesome, and great, and I will enjoy it until Saturday when Auburn beats the brakes off of Mississippi State, and then I will go back into my little shell that a Mississippi State fan lives in.
And still rooting for Ole Miss and call yourself a State fan. Yeah, you keep on doing that.
Well, he's... all right. We better probably just end this here. Before things get more out of hand. We need a stopping place anyway. So guys, thanks for listening to the show. We have some very interesting things that are happening, so be sure to stay tuned. But once again, I'm Chris Lewis, along with Perry Lewis and Eric Tolbert, and we will see you at the lounge next week.
Maybe. No, I'm kidding.
You are now leading the world of Musings of a Geek podcast network. Stay geeky, my friends.